You know, when I get these inspirations, something I really feel like I need to address. So I did a video with Jose Raymond. We're talking about the Tony Huge Mass Blast, and got some comments in the comment section from one of the guys in the Mass Blast, Elon Musketeer. So appreciate him participating. And Tony Huge himself posted. And one of the things he said gave me an idea here. He said, it's really a question of freedom of censorship. I definitely discovered a way to put on 20 pounds of muscle faster than any humans outside of one's experience think it is possible. And I believe it's the healthiest way to build muscle. Okay. The healthiest way to build muscle would not involve any kind of drugs. What I do, what all other gear users do, it's not healthy. It's not. How unhealthy is it? That varies from person to person. The dosage, the type of drugs you're using, how long you're on them, also your lifestyle. Do you eat right? Do you smoke? Do you do cardio? There's so many factors that go into it. But the healthiest way to build muscle is to do it 100% drug-free. You won't build as much muscle. You'll never get as big as you would have on drugs. You're not going to have that freaky bodybuilder look that we associate, the real full, round, you know, some people have the roundness, the real full, dense, muscular look. That only comes with PED use. You're not going to have that, but you also will never have to worry about damaging your heart, your kidneys, losing your hair, so many things that come along with drug use. You know, I have a 22-year-old son. He'll be 23 in September. I would never want this kid using drugs. He has no interest in using drugs. He's never asked me about them. He sometimes gets jealous of other kids his age who he sees on drugs making these rapid gains. And, you know, his own father, I've been on drugs on and off, mostly on, since 3 years before this kid was even born. He's 22, so geez, so end of 96. It's been it'll be 25 years. I'll have my 25-year anniversary of gear use this fall. I believe I started in November of 96. What I've done, is it healthy? No. I mean, saying there's a healthier way to do it is like saying there's a healthier way to smoke cigarettes. If you smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes a day, you're probably going to be healthier in the long run in terms of risking lung cancer versus someone who smokes 2 packs a day, but you're still damaging your health. You're still doing something that's not good for your body. And steroids, you know, in very, very moderate doses for TRT purposes, which is completely different from what most of us are talking about, which is a cycle. Sorry, man, my nose is itchy. That's healthy because that's just replacing testosterone that your body can't make or no longer makes anymore. So TRT, it's become this bastardized term where people talk about, I'm on TRT, and then you find out they're on like 600 milligrams of test, 400 milligrams of DECA, 300 milligrams of tren. They're on a cycle, but they just call it TRT because I don't know, somehow, somewhere along the way, that term became synonymous. I don't know how, because TRT stands for testosterone replacement therapy, replacing testosterone that your body doesn't make. If you're a 20-year-old guy, 25-year-old guy, your body should be making plenty of testosterone, you know, copious amounts. Would it be the same as if you're on a blast? Of course not. Of course not. But again, you're not going to be taking that chance. You're not putting your health at risk. And, you know, just because some people are lucky, like myself, I've been very, very fortunate. You know, a lot of guys who have done the things I've done in terms of gear, they're dead, or they had to quit. They didn't have to quit training, but a lot of them did. If they couldn't be that big, have that freaky look, and lift those crazy heavy weights, they didn't want to do it anymore. They just didn't want to be normal, so they just gave up completely. But, you know, a lot of these people that have done steroids for years and years have serious health problems. You know, to say that there's a healthy way to do it, there's no healthy way to use steroids in terms of a cycle. You can mitigate the risks by being, you know, moderate about it, by taking care of your health, by eating very well, by doing cardio, taking all those antioxidants, all the health supplements. You can mitigate the damage you're doing, but you're still doing damage. You're still putting your health at risk. Gear use in general is inherently risky. It is inherently unhealthy. Just because some people are able to pull it off, like me, that shouldn't be give you a tacit permission to do it yourself and think, well, I'm going to be okay. Maybe you will and maybe you won't. Like some people smoke their whole lives and never get lung cancer. Other people, 10 years into smoking, 20 years into smoking, you know, lung cancer, and some of them have a lung removed. You know, my mother-in-law had half of one of her lungs removed. She had to quit smoking. But it doesn't mean there's a safe way to smoke. There's no safe way to smoke. There's no safe way to use steroids. I'm going to go to the phones, as we used to say in the old days, very old days. See if you guys have some commentary on that, because that's why I do these lives. And typically you'll start asking questions that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. Healthiest ways people have... Okay, this message is held for review, but I'm going to read it anyway. I hope YouTube doesn't shut me down. Brian Lee said, the healthiest way is for people to stop being pussies and just work hard, eat clean, and be consistent. Yeah, you know, naturally, you're not going to be as freaky, like I said, but you'll still have far more muscle than the average untrained person. You'll still be very impressive. You know, if you have above, even just slightly above average genetics, most people are going to assume you're on steroids anyway. If you're consistent for years and you build enough muscle, people are going to say, well, that can't be natural. That's got to be drug assisted. J-Dog, hey Ron, greetings from the mail route. Jay's delivering mail. That's cool that you can listen to this while you're delivering mail. Yeah. You know, my late dad took me, I used to go on his mail route sometimes. I'd ride in the mail truck, which was completely against the law, I'm sure, federal regulations. But he wouldn't even play the radio, my dad. Nor eggs. How heavy should I train to build muscle rep range wise? It's really not about how heavy, although it sort of translates. When we talk about the rep range, what we're really talking about is how much time under tension you're putting the muscle under. So if you're only doing like a rep or 3 reps, the muscle's not under tension very long, because it doesn't take long to do 1, 2, 3 reps. It takes longer to do 8 reps, 10 reps, 12 reps. So for the upper body, typically, you've heard the dogma before, 8 to 12 reps is a really good range. It's heavy, but it's still keeping the muscle under tension. Legs you can do in that range too, but legs also seem to respond well to higher reps as well. So, you know, for many, many years, the gold standard for leg growth was high rep squats. You know who Tom Platz was. Tom Platz had the best legs of all time, still. I hope you guys know who he is. If you don't, please Google Tom, T-O-M, Platz, P-L-A-T-Z. Just Google images and you're going to see these quads. They call him the quad father. There are guys with huge legs today, but Tom still, no one's ever really surpassed. And Tom did not do, he didn't do just a few reps. He did a lot of reps. He used to do things like 405 for 50 reps. Yes, 50, 5-0. I didn't stutter. Not 15, 50. One time he took 225 and he did reps continuously for 15 minutes without stopping. So Tom never did like 3 reps, 5 reps, 8 reps. It was always 20 reps and beyond. And, you know, I think there's a video of him out there where he did 500 for 20. Yeah, look it up. Say Tom Platz. Just look up on YouTube, Tom Platz squats. I bet it comes right up. And you can see the bar bending and everything. All right, back to this. Go look at the last pick of IFBB Pro. Muhammad El Janzari. Kamal Gardney. I haven't seen the recent pictures, but I just did an interview with Derek Lunsford. It's on this channel. It was posted Monday morning. And Kamal apparently is living in Florida now, too. I think the Tampa area. And Derek has seen him lately. He said, this is the biggest I've ever seen Kamal. And Kamal's 50 now? 51? He's up there. So for him to be putting size on at this age, and this is a guy that's been competing for decades and has countless titles, amateur and pro titles now. So props to Kamal. The best to Giles, yeah. Andalus Gaming, if you're a teen, steal the milk from your neighbor twice. Well, we don't, do they still like leave milk on people's doorsteps in some countries? I mean, that's how they used to be like a milkman that came around delivering milk to people. I think that was done for a very long time in the USA, but I haven't heard of a milkman delivering milk for, you know, I think by the time I was a kid in the 70s, that was already almost over with. But yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, milk was the first popular supplement. In the old days, like the 40s and the 50s, squats and milk, that's how a lot of these guys just got big. It was just, you know, they were big and fat. They weren't lean. But man, they would drink like a gallon of whole milk a day and just do these 20 rep breathing squats and bench presses, just a few basic exercises. Yeah, Brian Lee, always appreciate your upfront honesty, Ron. I'm 41 and been training for over 20 years. I've only used SARMs and pro hormones, but didn't start until my early to mid 30s, as far as you can natural first. Yeah, I agree with that. See, and this is where a lot of people disagree with me. I'm going to have to wipe the sweat out of my eyes. There's no AC in this room. I firmly believe that you should build a natural base of size and strength before you turn to PEDs. I believe that allows you to master your training and your nutrition. And if you can do that and then start PEDs, you're going to get so much better results because your training is more efficient. You really know what you're doing. You have that mind-muscle connection. You figured out the correct form for you on certain exercises. You figured out your nutrition, how your body responds to different types of proteins and fats and carbs. Then when you add the PEDs in, it's a lot more productive, I think, than if you just out of the gate, before you know what the hell you're doing, before you know how to wipe your ass, you're taking steroids. Let's see. Brian Lee. Mohammed Jazori, he's 52, Kamal. Wow. Mike's man stuff. Did you meet Nasser, somebody? Did you meet him? Yeah, I met Nasser. I didn't know him. I met him a few times. He actually came to my gym in Pasadena once, Pasadena, California, when I was out there. They were shooting some weeder training video or something. Huge guy, man. He was like 300 pounds off season, pretty lean. I mean, I believe he competed around 285 at his heaviest, in great condition. So Muhammad says, in this Olympia, Kamal Al-Gharni will be 53. Wow. Oh, so he's my age, because I'll be 53 in September. So he's going to, wow, God bless that guy. Yeah. Brian Lee, hope to see you out here in Vegas for the O. Absolutely. I live in Vegas, and it's a great time when Olympia comes through and see top-level athletes and industry insiders like yourself. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I'm excited the Olympia is coming back. It hasn't been there since 2019, the year Brandon Curry won. You know, Orlando's great. I like it. It's a family atmosphere. There's all those theme parks you can go to. Not that I was going to any. I'm there for the show. But Vegas is, you know, that's glitz, glamour. That's show business is Vegas. That's what the Olympia really, that's where it should be. I believe that was the home for 20 years running. You know, I think after Ronnie won in New York in 99, I think every year after that, from 2000 to 2019, so 20 years in a row, it was out in Vegas. It was at the Mandalay Bay for many years, and then it went to Orleans. Yeah, I think it was actually only at the Mandalay for a while, and then it went to the Orleans. But now it's at Planet Hollywood, much, much better casino, right on the Strip. Orleans was way off the Strip. It was like an hour walk. Everything in Vegas looks close because there's those huge billboards and lights and everything, but then you start walking, you're like, man, I've been walking for half hour, and I don't seem like I'm getting any closer to that casino I'm trying to get to. Noor Ega, bodybuilding is a risky sport, just like NASCAR racing. So using steroids is a risk you have to take if you want success in bodybuilding. 100% agree with that. It's just, I worry that a lot of people now don't think it's risky, and I don't know why they would be that ignorant when we've had so many bodybuilders dropping dead before their time. Guys in their 30s and 40s have been dying over the past couple of years. And we're not going to get into vaccines and virus, but you know, the steroid, because every time I do that, people say, like, it wasn't the steroids. Of course it was the steroids. The steroids seem to have a horrible interaction with either the virus or the vaccine or something. I don't know, because we've never had this many people dropping dead before. But that just goes to show you, steroids put you at a greater risk of certain things. I mean, if these guys hadn't been using steroids, if they had never got into steroids, how many of them would be dead now? I don't think any of them would have been. I don't think any of them would have died in their 30s and 40s. I think they would have died much, much later in life. Let's see. JJ, pyramid training takes care of high, low rep training. Yeah. Been around 50, 60 years. Yes, around time I had cartoon legs, still have an old muscle fitness mag with a photo shoot. Yeah, pyramid training is a really good way to do it. So you start off lighter weight, you know, like 15 reps, and then you add a little weight. The next set, 12 reps, 10 reps, and maybe your heaviest set is 8 reps. So there you've covered a good range of reps in 4 sets. That's basically how I train. I usually start, although I don't go down to 8 reps anymore. I'm too old for that. My joints can't take that shit anymore. J-Dog, Vince Herron said cream and fertilized eggs. He said the extra cell makes all the difference. I don't even know what fertilized eggs are. What is that? I mean, I know like free range and organic and all that. What's fertilized eggs? Yeah, they used to drink cream, like, you know, cream in your coffee. They used to drink that as like a weight gainer, which is, you know, 3 times thicker than whole milk. So much fat in it, but, you know, these guys used to pile on weight. Back in the day, they weren't really concerned about being lean. They just wanted to get big and strong. So you didn't have too many guys walking around with veins and muscle separation and everything. They were just big, bulky guys. And they would diet down for a contest, but yeah, they used to get pretty fat. Fertilized eggs, J-Dog. Yeah, I don't know. Where do you even get those? Probably Whole Foods or something? Whole Paycheck? Mike's Man Stuff. Anabox was way better in the 90s. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, we're dealing with underground labs today for the most part. Most of you can't get pharma grade stuff. You can't get stuff that was produced by a legitimate pharmacy. You're getting underground steroids produced who knows where. I don't know where. So you don't really know if the test you're using it says 250 mg per mil on the bottle. Is it? Maybe it's 200. Maybe it's 300. Probably not. Maybe it's 100. You don't know. You're buying primobolan. Is it primobolan? You can take that roid test kit and find out if it's primobolan. But a lot of times people are they're passing off the more exotic, expensive steroids. They're passing off cheaper tests, like supposedly, and I don't know if this is true because I've heard two different versions. The late George the Bull Peterson, George Peterson III, who passed away, unfortunately, God rest his soul, last October, right before the Olympia, in his hotel room in Orlando, supposedly when they did a toxicology report on him. Supposedly all they found was testosterone, which means all the different steroids he was taking, he thought he was taking a bunch of different steroids, it was all tests. I've also heard that the tests weren't, the toxicology report wasn't looking for anything. They didn't have the markers or whatever in their spectrograph they weren't checking for like DECA and Winstrol and Primo and stuff like that. So I don't know which of those is the truth. It doesn't even really matter. Let's see, J-Dog, Nasser should have won 97. Debatable. That was Dorian. You know, Dorian he had his tricep hanging on by a thread. That was his last Olympia, the Long Beach one. That was a weird Olympia because I wasn't there. That was one of the ones I missed. But I remember they had the results, and then an hour or two later at the banquet, they said, sorry, guys, we got a little mixed up. I think like Lee Priest dropped down a place or two. He was pretty upset about that. You know, the show was over. Everyone was gone. And then they said, well, we got the results wrong. So yeah, Nasser, it's arguable. It's a subjective sport. It's what you like. So maybe Nasser should have won that year. I mean, I'd have to really look at some comparison pictures. Angelus Gaming says, be healthy and make a Marcus Rule tuna shake. Oof. I would not want to eat tuna. You know, it'd be like a lot. I ate so much tuna in my 20s when I was a struggling, poor, aspiring bodybuilder. Didn't have a lot of money back then. I ate so much canned tuna from ages like, say, 18 to 28. I never want to eat tuna again out of a can in my life. I'd have to put like some mayonnaise in it. Just the smell alone makes me like nauseated now. To put it in a shake and blend it up and drink it, oh, yuck. I've never had a situation where I had to blend food and drink it. Like I remember the late Shawn Rhoden. He broke his jaw and they wired it shut. And he was drinking all his meals for a while there. You know, like steak, chicken, everything's blended up. Oh, that just makes me nauseous. Mike's man stuff. Ron, you're important for bodybuilding. Hope you get to hear that sometimes. So much content and always time for fans. Thank you so much, Mike, for that. G-Dog, yes, absolutely. Endless Gaming. Stay healthy. If Branch Warren enters your gym, leave. Nah, Branch is fine. I love Branch. He's a cool dude. Fertilized eggs is with the rooster sperm. Where the hell do you get that? Wow. I don't know. Brian Lee, it sucks that bodybuilding had been getting such a bad rap lately, but I get it due to all the death. We got to remember how much fun it is too. Getting strong, getting big, meeting people, and just having fun. Yeah, you know, we actually had this. We had this discussion on the MD No Bull forum today. It's still going on. There's a thread about, you know, Dante Trudell made an Instagram post that Nick Trigilli went and made a video out of. You know, trying to talk people out of bodybuilding, at least the gear bodybuilding, using gear and stuff, because it's not worth it. You know, most bodybuilders are poor. Even the pros, a lot of these pros, they don't make any damn money from it. And where was I going with that? Yeah, it was a good discussion, but you know, we talked about it. Someone said it's not worth a $15 trophy, but you know, it's a lot more than a trophy. I competed for 24 years. I did about 32 shows, something like that. I have no regrets. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money. I missed a lot of social events and things, dieting for all those shows, but I learned so much about what I was capable of and the challenge of beating my previous best. And, you know, I'm a competitive person. I loved competing. I love being up on that stage and trying to beat the other guys. And I made so many friends. You know, sometimes a lot of the guys I competed with that I beat or that beat me, we ended up becoming really good friends. You just meet so many people because we're all like-minded individuals. It's a small, cultish sport. There's not many of us. And we all have this crazy thing in common where other people don't understand. Why would you eat 6 times a day? Why would you spend 2 hours in the gym every day? Why would you do this? Why would you not eat fast food ever or junk food ever? Why? You know, most people just don't get it. And they look at it as an obsession. And a strong argument could be made for that, of course, I'm sure. But you know what? At the end of the day, I have no regrets. I made so many friends. I had so many good times competing over the years. I still have my trophies, a lot of them. I kept the really nice ones, the sculptures and stuff. So the fact that I never turned pro, and it's fine. It's really fine. I got a lot out of it, believe me. J-Dog says, they said George Peterson's test level was 10,000. Wow. 10,000. See, the last time I had mine tested on 400 milligrams a week, it was 19, so 1,968. So I don't know how much, and I'm not going to speculate how much George was using, but I know it's common, a common pro cycle is going to be anywhere from, for a contest, it's going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 grams, somewhere in that range. That's average. So I could see where his test level was 10,000. J-Dog, tuna is the poor man's steak. LOL, yeah. I mean, I wasn't eating much steak. Those were the days when I would like scan the supermarket flyers that came in the mail to see when steak was on sale, or, what I used to get. Not the London broil. I don't know why that would go on sale at the supermarket like every month or so, once a month, and I would always buy it then. I had to wait until the price went down because I didn't have much money. Our stuff. Powerlifting had this devil. Has powerlifting had this level of death or other strength sports? Nope. Yeah, powerlifters use steroids. I don't think for 1 minute they use anywhere near the amount of steroids that bodybuilders use. It's not just the steroids. Bodybuilders are using so many different drugs. It's steroids. It's peptides. It's growth hormone. It's insulin. It's thyroid medication. It's asthma medication. It's so many. It's this pharmaceutical cornucopia. This crazy combination of drugs that most bodybuilders, especially when they're competing. Off season is not so bad, but when you're competing, those prep cycles, those are very, very toxic, because it's a lot easier to build muscle when you're in a caloric surplus and you're not doing a ton of cardio. It's hard to hold on to all your muscle when you're eating less calories than you're expending, and you're doing sometimes up to 2 hours of cardio a day. It's not uncommon. So the cycles tend to be far more involved, and they're harsher. They're things like the Tren, the Masteron. It's a lot more. So yeah, powerlifters, they use steroids, but I don't think it's anywhere near the doses that bodybuilders, and certainly not these crazy combinations, these cocktails. Brian Lee, I only did one show, NPC Night of Champions in 2017 San Diego. It was one of the best experiences of my life being on that stage. Yeah, I always say, if you're a bodybuilder, you don't have to compete, but I think you should give yourself that gift of competing at least once. Couple reasons: just to see what it's like, to get the experience, what it's like to get in really good shape. You finally see what your body looks like underneath all the fat and water. What do you really look like? And you'll be pleasantly surprised. I think in a lot of cases, you'll see things that you didn't even know were there. Like, oh wow, I had that there, that split, that striation. I didn't know I had a vein there, because until you diet down to very, very low body fat, you can't see all that stuff. So that, and the experience itself, it's so much fun. So after one show, most people will say, that was really cool. But I don't want to do that. I don't need to do it again. It was cool that I got to do it. Other people will be like, yes, that was awesome. I can't wait to do that again. That was me. Endless game. Best way to stay healthy summer, drink water, guys. Yeah, well, I mean, that sounds silly, but it's true. It's summertime, or it's almost summertime. What's summer starting, like the 23rd or something? Yeah, drink plenty of water, guys. Stay hydrated. Yeah, that's like one of the least talked about things, but it's very important. If you're not drinking enough water, you can't have optimal health. You're not going to get optimal results from your training. You're not going to make the gains. You need to be drinking plenty of water every day. Let's see. Brian Lee, for anyone listening, bodybuilding, weightlifting, powerlifting, just training in general can yield a lot of great life-changing benefits when done correctly. Yeah, I mean, I think it gives you this, once you see you have the power to transform your body based on being consistent and disciplined, you can apply that to a lot of different things in life. In fact, a lot of guys have retired from bodybuilding and taken that same drive and dedication and discipline that they used to be great bodybuilders, and they rolled it over into a business, a very successful business. I mean, we could talk about people like Lee Labrada, Rich Gaspari, Dean Caputo. There's been so many of them, but I mean, it gives you self-confidence. I was a very shy, insecure kid, and it gave me a lot of confidence just building my body up. I just think, the safest way to do it is naturally. In some ways, do I regret? Sometimes I wonder, maybe I should have stayed natural. My waist would have been way smaller. When I was natural, I had like a 29-inch waist. I had a great V taper. I don't have that anymore. My waist has gotten much, much thicker. I think I got a lot of visceral fat, that gut. Yeah. Powerlifters also don't get extremely lean, says J-Dog. That's true. That's true. Contest prep is not safe. You know, a lot of people have said this. Branch said, Branch, when I talked to him last Saturday morning to tell him about the video that Nick did, you know, he said this, and I've heard the same thing said many times, is bodybuilding is very healthy. And, you know, natural bodybuilding is obviously the only healthy option, but competitive bodybuilding is very unhealthy. It is not healthy to take your body fat way down, to dehydrate your body at the end like that, to take all those very toxic drugs to give you that really hard look and that crispy, dried out, like a piece of beef jerky look. Not healthy at all. And I honestly believe the more times you diet down and get into that, and especially if you're getting heavy in the off season and going back and forth between, let's say you're going from like 240 to 198 over and over again, which I've seen many guys do. I don't think that's healthy at all. That, you know, they say yo-yo dieting, and that's kind of is yo-yo dieting. You're taking your body weight, you know, 40, 50 pounds up and down over and over and over again. Yeah. Awesome job. Just subscribe. Thank you, Montalvan, 2002. Strongman is nowhere near. Yeah, powerlifting strongman. I have been hearing about powerlifters or strongman dying. And, you know, that's crazy because you would think, especially strongman, you would assume if all that bulk, just being that big and heavy, puts a huge strain on the heart, which it has to. It has to. Because humans weren't meant to be that big. Even if you're a naturally big guy, have you ever seen a 70-year-old man who's still like 350 pounds? Nope. They're all dead long before. They don't live that long. People that are that big and heavy, it's kind of like the big dog, little dog comparison. Like we had a Shih Tzu that we put down last year, yeah. She was 18 and a half. She would have been 19. I think she would have, you know, her health was going downhill, but that dog was almost 19 years old. That's a long time. Whereas if you have a big dog, like let's say like a German Shepherd or I don't know, something big, you know, like a dog that's like 80 to 100 pounds, they don't live that long. 8 to 10 years, maybe 12 if you're lucky, but that's pushing it. What's your stage weight, Ron? Good question, Jason. I was actually thinking my stage weight now would definitely be a little lighter. I've lost some muscle. I've been trying to keep it all. You know, I'm still on gear. I'm still training hard, but I can't do a lot of the things I used to do. I can't shoulder press with free weights at all anymore. I can't even shoulder press very heavy on machines. I can't do that, so my shoulders aren't what they used to be. I can't do anything. I can't do any kind of barbell rows anymore. Certainly, I've been able to deadlift. I can't squat anymore. Wow. I'm still training hard, but I have to train around a lot of these injuries and things like I have bad arthritis, my back's jacked up, my knee. So my stage weight was, it used to range from 202 to 208. That was where I was at many, many shows. I bet I could make, so right now I'm like 217 to 219, depending on the time of day. I'm pretty confident if I wanted to, I could get down to 198 and a quarter and be a light heavy. If I wanted to. I don't want to. Yeah. JJ Amigo, the red light in the background is cool. Thank you. Great body will burn out and don't fade away. Yeah. Great body will burn out. Well, that sounds like they're dying young. I don't like that. I don't like the sound of that. Come on. Samson, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Ron, not just the way to powerlift strongmen, but the competitions they must go to. From massive weights pulling plane is still they don't die like bodybuilders. Yeah. Wouldn't you think they would? You know, these guys are doing crazy. I've seen the Arnold's Strongest Man. I've seen that a few times because it's always part of the Arnold Classic. Things these guys have that I've seen them do, it's crazy. Like there was the Louis Cyr dumbbell. I think this dumbbell weighs like 320 pounds or something, one dumbbell. The handle's like that big around, so you have to have a giant hand just to hold the thing. And they would have to press it overhead, from the floor overhead for reps, like how many reps in 1 minute or something. And that was just one thing. I've seen some insanely strong, crazy feats of strength from those guys. Zio, and how much test are you on at the moment a week? So 200 milligrams every third day, which comes out to so 7 days in a week. So I'm not a great mathematician. That comes out to about, is that like 450 a week? Yeah. Renault, if the Olympia is in Orlando after Vegas, will it be during the same month or later in the winter? I don't know. There doesn't seem to be consistency to the Olympia date. Like it was in December. It was in December. Then last year was in October. This year it's in December again. So yeah, it's always going to, it's going to be toward the end of the year, but until this Olympia is over, I don't think they're going to let us know when the next year's Olympia is going to be. But we got to wait until December for this one. Random. Can natural level bodybuilders eat the same way an enhanced bodybuilder does? Yeah, I think they have to be a little more careful with things like sugar and just carbs in general, or else you'll get fatter, especially if you're on growth hormone. The one thing I've noticed about growth hormone, I've been on growth hormone now since March of last year, so that's 15 months. Yeah, I mean it's getting there. It's been a while. I have not seen any additional muscle growth. So I was doing like 4 units a day for a long time. I backed it down. to 2.5 units a day a few months ago, just to make it last longer. I have noticed it keeps you leaner. It has great fat burning properties. I haven't seen any additional muscle growth with it, but it definitely helps you stay leaner. And I can get away with eating things like muffins here and there, some cookies if I want a couple cookies. My wife bakes some cookies, and I don't get fat. But natural guys, they do have to be a little more careful. Steroids, because you build more muscle with steroids, they're going to burn more calories at rest because you have more muscle. And muscle is very metabolically demanding. So I think natural bodybuilders have to be a lot more careful. When I was a natural bodybuilder throughout my 20s, 18 to 27, I was competing in shows natural shows. I competed from 19 to 95 to 25, but I still stayed natural. Anyway, I got fat in the off season, like fat, because I was just trying to get big and bulky. I was 230, but it was a sloppy 230 at 5'8", by the way, because that was the next question. Bipolar mom and former adult probation officer, lift heavy and eat protein, yeah. Lift heavy weights, eat a lot of food, and rest. That's the easiest way to boil down how to get more muscles, how to get bigger. Do I know what's the difference between NPC and IFBB? So NPC is the amateur organization that feeds into the professional organization. The people that win the big championships in the NPC shows, like, I'm just going to talk about bodybuilding, not the other divisions, because other divisions can turn pro at things like the Junior USA and Junior Nationals where bodybuilders can't. So it's kind of like comparing, if you know American football, NCAA, like the Division I schools, that's where the NFL does their draft picks every year, and that's where they get their new professional football players from. Is from the best college football players who are amateurs. So that's what the NPC is, the amateur wing of the organization, and the best champions from that graduate on to the professionals, the IFBB Pro League. Our stuff, Jose said HIV patients use 18 IU a day. GH, do you know why 18 is standard? I don't. I think it's just because that's what comes in those pens that he's talking about, the Serrano pens. I think that's what he's talking about. So that seems like a lot to me, 18 IUs, but what do I know? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. If you were taking 18 IUs a day and you were paying for all that, you'd be spending upwards of $1,000 a week on growth hormone. Legitimate farmer growth hormone, it's not cheap. Most people use the generic stuff from China, little generic-looking kits. Zio, and prediction on Puerto Rico Pro. Do you think Hassan can win? I hope Hassan wins it. This guy has been so good for so long. He's been knocking on the door. He's had so many top 2, top 3 placings. He just needs to dial in his condition better. He's got all the size he could ever need, man. I love Hassan Mustafa's physique. It's not the prettiest shape and structure, I'll give you that. But you know what? Neither is Nick Walker. And Nick Walker's been kicking ass, right? So Hassan, I hope he wins this. There's great front runners. We did a preview show that came out earlier today. Giles Thomas and I, we did a preview show talking about all the people for it. But Hassan is definitely a front runner as far as I'm concerned. Man, I love your watch. What is it? Oh, Collector Vladimir. I love what you do. This is a Aqua Racer from Tag Heuer. Thank you. My only good watch. I only have one. Yeah, my wife has several. I only have one. Renaud, can Martin Fitzwater win a show to qualify for the Olympia? He looks good for this era. Yeah, why not? He's been, what was he, like third at the Texas Pro last year? His pro debut? Yeah, he's got a great physique, that kid. He's still only like 24, 25? Yeah, he could win a show. I've seen people with lesser physiques win shows many times, so why not? Mike's man stuff. Do you think Kevin Levrone did less harm to his body than other pro bodybuilders? Absolutely he did. He did far less harm. Even if you don't believe the low doses that he says he did, which I believe him. And you can say, Ron, you believe anybody. You're an ass kisser with these pros. I hear that all the time, but whatever. He took so much time off during the year where he wasn't on gear at all. And trust me, he wasn't, because I would see him at shows sometimes. I'd be like, oh my God, he got small. Jeez. I'd be like, it's April. The Olympia is in September. What the hell is he going to do the Olympia? And he'd be down to like 210 or something, 215. And then I'd get to the Olympia and he walks around and he's freaking 240, 250 shredded. So he took a lot of time off gear toward most of his career. Because after he tore his pec, I think he started doing that, taking time off during the year. So he did less damage because he just wasn't on gear as long as these other guys. And I don't believe he used as much. I don't think he had to use as much. I think he responded very well. Jonathan Layson, I'm not competitive by any stretch of the imagination. What do you think about throwing in a bodyweight only day once a week to build that different type of strength muscle that comes with it? I wouldn't do that. I mean, me personally, no. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, we all have different goals. My goals always center around physiques. Like, I don't care about performance. I don't care how strong I am. When I coach people, I don't coach athletes like in other sports. I don't know anything about that. I don't care anything about that. I know how to get people bigger, get people leaner. That's all I care about is the look, the cosmetic, because that's what bodybuilding. It's a visual sport based on what the body looks like. So if you want to do these things, like if you want to do CrossFit is great for functional strength. The way you can talk shit about CrossFitters all the time. My wife did it for many years. So I used to go to the high level competition, like the CrossFit Games regionals in the Northeast. And these people are phenomenal athletes, man. They could do anything. They could walk on their hands up and down a football field. They'd show up on the first day of the World Championships CrossFit Games. Or one year, Rich Froning told me, because I used to do his column for Fitness RX for Men. So the first day they got there, because they had no idea. They never tell them in advance what the events are going to be. Because they said, guys, girls, today you're going to do a triathlon. That was day one of a 3-day competition. They had to do a triathlon, like a full triathlon. So those people are in fantastic shape. What would you do on bodyweight day? I wouldn't do a bodyweight day. I mean, bodyweight training for me is like a last resort. If I had no weights, I would do chin-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, planks. I would do all that stuff. You could do like one-legged squats, pistols. Those are great. But I would just train with weights. That's me, man. I don't care about functional strength. I don't care about any of that stuff. That's to each his own. Is Ian Valliere a top 5 lock for the Olympia and Walker top 3? Nobody's a lock for anything. It all depends on how they show up that day and how everyone else shows up that day. All they can do is come in at their best, and everyone else is coming in at their best, hopefully, and the judges have to figure it all out. But nobody's a lock. Is Rami a lock to win again? No. Nobody's a lock to win anything, because anybody can be beaten on any given day. We could see a new champion this year. We could see Hunter. We could see Nick. Maybe Ian. Anything's possible. I've seen, Brandon Curry is a good example. 2019 when he won the Olympia. If you had told me even 3 or 4 years before that, Brandon Curry's going to win the Olympia, I'd be like, shut up. No, he's not. He's not that good. And he wasn't that good. For years, he was just a B-level guy. He was like a lot of times he would be in the second call out. He wasn't that great. He leveled up in end of 2016. He went over to Kuwait, put on 25 pounds of muscle. In 2017, he started doing much better because he was bigger. And he already had that beautiful structure and shape. And once he had the size and he really filled out that frame, that's when he started really kicking people's asses. Let's see. Samson. Everyone has a chance to win. It's how the competitor comes in looking that day. Yeah. Rito, Labrada will move back a few spots for Walker and Valliere. I don't think Labrada's moving down. I don't know. There's no way to know how these guys are going to place. There's no way. Until you're there at the show and they all come out and you see how they look compared to each other, that's when you can start saying, okay, I think he's probably going to be second, third, fourth. These two are probably battling it out for third. That's when that's real. Shit gets real. Until then, it's all just speculation. It's all speculation. Samson, Hassan has a good look this year finally. Yeah, I really hope he pulls it off. Because he's does not have a pro win yet. He did like 8 shows last year, the guy. And he's a hard worker, obviously. Real good family man. I see him at the shows with his wife and his daughter. Clearly he adores them, takes good care of them. So yeah, I really hope Hassan pulls off the win. What do you think about James English and Martello? I don't know who those are. I'm sorry. I I don't know. I have no idea who those are. Keek Bake, much love from Holland to all my iron addicts. Holland. Also known as the Netherlands. Yeah. My daughter used to date a guy from there years ago. Renaud, should posing have a bigger effect on placing than it currently does? I believe it should, but then, what if someone's an awesome poser and their physique isn't that great? You're going to place them ahead of someone who's got a much better physique and they're a worse poser? So I understand why posing isn't judged, because it's too confusing, I could see where they should just have an extra award for best poser where they get some extra money. That makes a lot more sense to me, because how do you separate the physique from the posing? It's really hard. Let's see. Samson, George Fair always says bodybuilders use too much gear. Awodibo, even, that's blessing. Even question Farrah's protocol, saying what he was being told to use is nothing compared to what he used to. Yeah, I mean, most pro bodybuilders use larger amounts because they think they have to, and that's what everyone else does. But I've heard a lot of them tell me they use less at times, and they got just the same results, to their surprise. I know that doesn't sound real, but guys like Jose have told me, for this show I did half of what I normally did, and I looked as good, if not better. More gear does not always make you look better. It really doesn't. Let's see. Renaud, why did today's bodybuilders start prep and dieting so early before the Olympia compared to before? I don't think they do. No, I don't think they start that early. They start probably 16 weeks is standard, but some guys do 12-week prep, guys with faster metabolisms. I think they stay leaner. A lot of them stay leaner now than they used to. And I think part of that is because of social media, because you're seeing them all the time on their YouTube videos, on their Instagram, TikTok. So they don't want to be fat and sloppy, because then people will talk shit about them. I can see Urs winning Classic, says Renaud. Yeah, just needs to be a little bigger. I mean, Bumstead's the gold standard right now for Classic. Urs is getting bigger. That's all he needs, is a more upper body size, more arms, more back, and he's right there. Yeah, he's not far behind. Phil Heath. Elliot Slater, how do you think about Phil Heath treating Brandon Beefcake? I have no idea what you're talking about. I wish. I don't follow all the stuff going on. I don't watch all the videos, because that would be like my whole day. And I'm busy. I do work. I do have to write articles and make videos. And plus I'm eating 6 times a day, and I'm at the gym from the time I leave my house to the time I come back, it's like 3 hours. Jonathan Layson again. Since you do know about getting people lean, my cardio consists of steps and that's it. I'm slacking. How should I start day one and scale up cardio if someone despises it? Cardio, it's all calories in versus calories out. You could do all your cardio walking. It's going to take you longer to burn the calories. You could walk at a faster pace and burn more calories in a shorter amount of time. In the end, it doesn't really matter. It's calories in, calories out. Really, I'm really starting to believe that so much more over the past year or so. Yeah. If you despise cardio, which most of us do, man, you have your smartphone, you have earbuds, there's podcasts, there's music video, there's all kinds of things you can watch. You watch TV shows on your phone, movies. Just find something that keeps you distracted if you hate cardio that much, which a lot of us do. I know it's not. I always say, most of us did not sign up to do cardio. We wanted to lift weights and get big and jacked and strong, but we didn't want to be stepping on a step mill or sitting on a stationary bike to nowhere. We didn't sign up for that shit. Bonac is a favorite for the Olympia. Yeah, I mean, he was second. Bonac was second in 2019. He looked incredible at the Arnold. I thought he could have beat Brandon for sure at the Arnold. He easily won the Boston Pro a week later here in Boston. Yeah, do not sleep on William Bonac at all. Not for a minute. Elliot said, I missed this. He said, well, Brandon won't win any O anymore at this point. I think his legs are not going to grow any further. Maybe they don't need to. I mean, they're not small. His legs aren't small at all. They're not as big as Rami's, but whose are? Hassan's are. That's pretty much the only guy I know that's got legs like Rami's. Hassan Mustafa. I think about Philippines. Let's see. What do you think about vacuum? Someone asked about shooting into the penis vein. Yeah, don't do that, guys. Do not stick a needle into your penis, please. Please don't do it. Well, if you want to, go ahead. But I'm telling you, I don't think it's a good idea. What do I think about the vacuum? I think it looks cool when guys pull it off well. The classic guys. I don't think the open guys should necessarily do it unless it looks really good on them. But even then, they're not being judged by the same criteria as classics, so I don't think they should be doing it unless it really looks awesome on their physique. Yeah, not really showing it. Yeah, so I don't think the open guys, like, Charles Griffin was doing it. He won the Cali Pro. And if they call an ab and thigh shot, especially in open bodybuilding, you need to hit an ab shot. You need to flex your abs down, not just hit a vacuum. In classic, I think they can get away with just hitting a vacuum for when they call abdominals and thigh, but that's kind of a cop-out because it's showing, yeah, I have this little small waist, but you're not showing any abdominal development, which that's what the pose is supposed to show, is showcase your abdominal development and your thigh development, your quads. So I don't think open guys should be hitting that unless it's part of their, like, they can do it in their routine to show, wow, that's cool. This guy's a little tiny waist with a nice vacuum. But as far as during the judging, no. Let's think. I think Woody Boo. So he's phonetically spelling out Blessing's last name. Mario. Hi, Ron. Always the best. What do you think is the best way to keep positive mentally during this journey when mentally things go hard? Thanks in advance. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a life coach or anything, but I mean, you've heard this before. Remember why you started. Why did you start? Try to remember, why did you start doing this? What did you want to get out of it? What have you already gotten out of it? Think about the progress you've already made, and that should show you that you are capable of making changes, improving yourself when you put your mind to it and you dedicate yourself and do the right things consistently day after day, eat the right foods, train hard with the right exercises, really getting the mind and the muscle, getting plenty of rest, staying away from recreational drugs and alcohol as much as possible, when you're doing these things consistently. So, yeah, staying strong is really, you got to think about your goal. Why am I doing this? Why did I start doing this? Why do I still want to do? What do I still want to accomplish? Because, it's a never-ending journey. It's kind of the blessing and the curse of bodybuilding. You're never really done. Even when I'm past my prime, I'm past my physical prime, I'm well aware of this. There's no denying it anymore. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I don't have as much muscle mass as I used to be. My physique isn't as good as it used to be. It's still pretty good, but it's not as good as it used to be. But I'm not done. I'm always trying to see if there's something I can improve on, always. And I love training. I just love training. It's my favorite part of the day. I love really getting the mind and the muscle, squeezing it, getting a pump. I love that shit, man. Right, do you think Phil Heath blew up his stomach on heavy lifts, more from overeating and gear? Who's to say? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the debate about guts has been going on for so long now, and there doesn't seem to be any general consensus. But until insulin use became really commonplace, we weren't seeing these big guts. We weren't. I think insulin use, which in conjunction, a lot of guys slam a ton of carbs when they're eating insulin because it helps shuttle the carb. It helps them process more carbs, so they're eating more, and they're just overeating and they're on insulin. And that's when we start seeing these big guts. So I believe personally, my pet theory, insulin, and probably in conjunction with growth hormone, is where we started seeing these big bubble guts. What did Louis Marco used to say? I can't remember his phrase about the bubble guts, but it was pretty funny. He came up with that phrase, bubble guts, right, Louis Marco? Samson, Ron, do you know what the classic physique weight cap would be for a person 6'5"? Jamie Joel is in great shape. I wonder if he entered that class as well as open. I don't know 6'5". I had a friend, still a friend. So the pros and the amateurs have different weight caps. The pros can be heavier. I think my friend he was 6'4", goon, Chris Griffin. He competed in classic in some local NPC shows. And I think he could be up to like 245. So the pros, I don't know. If you go to NPC online, or even if you Google classic physique weight limits, you'll see the pros. I don't know what it is, but it's probably, I don't think Jamie could get down to that, and I don't think he has any interest in doing that. Because I'm sure whatever it is, he's competing a good 20 to 40 pounds over that would be my guess. Like Bumstead is I think he's about 6'1". His weight cap is 230. So I imagine 6'5" must be, I'm guessing, I have no idea, something like 250 to 260. Brandon's legs are going to be his limiting factor. I mean, he won an Olympia with those legs. He won an Arnold Classic with those legs. They're not limiting him that much. So, what do you think about Andrew Jacked? Andrew can be really good. He's just starting out. Andrew Chinedu, a.k.a. Andrew Jacked. I interviewed him a couple times. I met him at the Arnold after he won. Very nice guy, hardworking, humble. I think he's got a bright future in the sport. We put him on the cover of Muscular Development a couple months ago. So that goes to show you what we think about him. clearly think he's got a bright future. We would not have put him on the cover. The hands clasp in front of the abs. Renaud, is the hands clasp in front of the abs a modern pose? I find Nick Walker favors it. No, so he's talking about the most muscular. I know this doesn't look good on me, but it's where you clasp the hands. I used to call that the levrone because that was Levrone's variation on it. When they used to say your favorite most muscular, he wouldn't do the crab. Kevin always did that one. Phil Heath did that one really well too. There's been a few guys who looked really good in that pose. But it's not a modern. It's been around for at least since the early 90s that I can remember. Maybe longer. Your favorite most muscular pose, yeah. So they always say your favorite most muscular. And this is like a little stupid pet peeve of mine. Head judge, which is oftentimes Steve Weinberg, will say it's always the last pose they call in a round. It'll be like front double bicep, front lat spread, side chest, rear double bicep, rear lat spread, side tricep, abdominal and thigh. Your favorite most muscular, that's the last one. So you'd think, oh, well, they can only hit one, right? They always hit a couple. They'll always do like the hands clasped, then they do the crab. Like no matter which one they do, they always end up also doing the crab. And they all get so excited when that pose is clicked because everyone thinks that's their best pose, is the most muscular. And it is a great way to showcase, traps, delts, chest, arms. It's a very exciting pose. It's most muscular. It's all that muscle crammed together, like a ball of muscle. Your favorite muscle. Jonathan Lacey, in case you didn't cover this already, do you see judges anytime soon open changing their criteria so it's okay for overall size to be lower and health kept in mind? Judges judge what's in front of them. So I don't see them intentionally picking smaller guys saying, we got to pick smaller guys so it's a healthier sport. I don't see that happening. They judge what's in front of them. I don't think we're going to see as many huge guys. At this point, we're already seeing a decrease in mass monsters. We don't have that many really huge guys anymore. There's a few. There's Nick Walker. There's Rami. There's a couple others. But there's not that many huge guys anymore. Have you noticed? Think back to like 15 years ago. You had guys like Nasser, Ronnie, Marcus Rule. You had some Paco Batista. You had some monsters out there. There's not that many guys who are that freaky big anymore. And I think we're gonna be seeing less and less of them because people are concerned about their health. You're what? You're still a boss, so thanks. You're the man, Ron. Thanks for answering questions. You're welcome, Jonathan. TJ Hadding, do you also think Phil could have made a successful comeback if he was dedicated enough? I don't know if it's a matter of dedication. I don't think he's able to get the midsection under control because ever since he had that hernia and the hernia surgeries, he was never the same after that. So I don't think it's a matter of him not being focused or dedicated. He wanted that 8th Olympia title. He wanted to break the record. He wanted 9. I think he wanted 10. And, he was well on his way to tying Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman and getting 8, but that hernia was like the end of him. That was it. So I don't see him coming back from that because he tried a couple times and it was still an issue. Especially once he got tired, he couldn't control the midsection. It would start, as soon as he started breathing heavy, it would start popping out again. So I just think, everybody's body has a shelf life. Father Time is undefeated. He always wins in the end. Phil Heath had an incredible run. He was unbeatable for a very long time. First couple years he won the Olympia, and even the year before, the last year that he took second to Jay, I thought he should have won that one. Phil was just amazing. He was a sight to see. He was a marvel. So no regrets, I don't think. Keek Bake. Here we go. Ron, do you really think the Tony Huge mass blast is real? I can't get my mind around a newbie taking 5 grams to test. It's so much stuff. Can't imagine someone being that stupid. I believe it's 100% real. Tony's comments in that video that I did with Jose that we posted said that this guy Cody, who we're talking about, straight Cody, which, is there a gay Cody? Is that why that's to differentiate and call him straight Cody? I don't know. I think he took it upon himself to use more than what he was supposed to be using according to what the protocol Tony had laid out for him. But yes, I'm not picking on Cody here, but you can't underestimate stupid. You can't assume, well, nobody would be dumb enough to do this or that. Kids are eating Tide Pods, People will do the dumbest things. You can't assume people aren't going to do dumb shit. They just will. Especially when it comes to steroids. That's why I had this problem with the mass blast is I'm sure people are going to watch that. And there's some kids out there, I say kids, like 18, 20, 22-year-olds are going to see that and go, 5 grams a test? Yeah, that sounds like I'll do that. That sounds great. Then I'll get 5 times bigger. So I believe it's 100% real. I believe it was done for entertainment and they wanted a lot. It was basically done to get views on their channel and they succeeded. And it's entertaining to watch, but like I said with Jose, there's a lot of things that are entertaining to watch, but that doesn't mean they're a good idea. Um, you know, would it be entertaining to watch public executions? Sure. Is that the right thing? Is it a good thing? No, probably not. Probably not a good thing to watch people being killed. Terrible analogy, right? Terrible analogy. So I'll stop right there. You look huge in the Kai Green video. I didn't look huge. I was actually upset because I should have told them not to film me from this side, my bad side. That's the tricep that like tore and retracted all the way up. But yeah, that was done in April. I was down in Florida to visit my daughter, lives in West Palm Beach now with her husband. And we were there for a week because it was her birthday. She was turning 28. And I was like, oh boy, Boca Raton, Redcon Gym is 30 minutes away because I checked the map, the Google Maps and all that. So I went down there 4 times. I caught 4 workouts and I was able to train with Kai, and that was awesome. It was awesome because I've known Kai for like 20 years. He's one of those guys, it was like on my bucket list because I know he just loves training. He'll never compete again. I don't believe he'll ever compete again, but he still loves training hard and just like I do. I'll probably never compete. I'll never compete. I'll just say it right now. I'll never compete again. I had a great run, but I still love training hard, and Kai's the same way. He's a bodybuilder for life. It's in his blood. It's in his DNA. It's who he is. You know, he's never going to stop. Let's see. 5 grams, Renaud, 5 grams of test is no more dangerous than some acetaminophen. Right, but acetaminophen is very dangerous, in fact. So he's talking about acetaminophen, Tylenol. I don't know if the statistic is still true, but the #1 drug overdose seen in emergency rooms in the United States is acetaminophen. No, not like heroin or anything or something like that. You would think, right? It's methadone. No, it's acetaminophen. It's very, very liver toxic. You can go into like liver failure fairly quickly if you take enough Tylenol. That's the trade name, the most popular brand of acetaminophen. So, you know, to say it's no more dangerous, you're saying it's no more dangerous than something that's very dangerous. High amounts of acetaminophen will kill you. You know, within a couple months, I'm sure. But even in the short term, you can get severe liver damage from taking too many of those. Yeah. Let's see. Arturo Zamora. You like my pronunciation? What did Arturo say? I missed it. Oh, that's just some emojis. Kuko looks good the most muscular. Yeah. Curry does a great crab. Yeah. I used to love Phil Heath's crab. I thought Phil Heath had one of the freakiest crabs because, you know, obviously he had those shoulders that were out to here and his arms so big and round and bubbly when he crunched it all together. I think Phil Heath had one of the most impressive crab, most musculars of all time for sure. Good question. Neosan Matrix. Who is Hassan's coach? As far as I know, it's still Chris Aceto. That's who's been working with him the last couple of years. Chris Aceto, very noted coach. Coached Jay Cutler for years, many, many other champions. Hassan needs posing lessons. He has Phil Heath proportions, muscles on top muscles, but needs posing lessons. Yeah, watching him, I can tell he doesn't seem to spend a lot of time on it. I think somebody who was a really good posing coach and was adept at improving people's posing prowess, if he really put the time into it, I bet he could improve on that quite a bit. And it is important because at that level where everyone's so good and so close to each other, presentation and posing does matter. I'm talking about how you hit the mandatory poses and stuff, you know, because if it's very close between 2 people and one of them just presents his physique better than the other guy, he's going to win. You know, sometimes these things are like a coin toss. It's like you could flip a coin. The guys are that close and they just have different looks and only one can win. So what do? If I'm a judge, these guys are both very, very good and one of them is just way better poser, I'm giving him the win. You're welcome, Neosan, sorry. Moving on, next question. Dylan Chase, yo, Ron, I met in person. You were cool as shit. Thank you. Where did we meet? We meet at the Boston show? Keep up the good work. Great show, bro. The show has a man cave feel too. This is my cave. I'm in here. I spend so much time in this damn room. It's ridiculous. I'm either in the gym or I'm in this room or I'm in my kitchen, you know, cooking and eating or something like that. But I'm in here quite a bit. Shawn C. Ron, would you take part in Tony Hughes' Mega Blast Experience if he asked you? I think it's an awesome idea so you can get really quick results in a safe manner. Safe manner, you know, unless I'm seeing doctor visits with these guys on a regular basis and blood work and stuff like that, I don't believe it's safe. He says these guys have no health problems. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. Maybe they're not going to, these problems aren't going to manifest themselves for a while. No, I would not do it. I would not do it because I have tried in my past, I have tried higher doses. I remember one time I did like a gram of test a week for 10 weeks. Plus, I think I was doing Dakar poise with. I was doing something else with it. I wanted to see if that would give me better results. I did a cycle that was, I think the total milligrams was 2.5 to 3, something like that. It was like 2,500 to 3,000. It didn't get any bigger or better. I got more bloated. I felt like shit, but I didn't see better results than I did with more moderate doses, like 6 to 750 of test a week. You know, just keeping it. I found my best results where I felt the best physically and mentally, as well as I was still getting results from me, was around 1,500 milligram total. It's not a big cycle. It's not a small cycle. It's not TRT by any means. And it's a lot more than I'm doing now, but that seemed to be the sweet spot for me. I don't believe like 5 grams. I don't think that's sustainable. I don't think you can do that over and over again without doing irreparable damage to your body. I just don't. People can argue with me, I'm fine. I've had people argue with me how healthy they were, and some of those people are dead now. So clearly they weren't that healthy. They thought they were, or they felt fine, but then some of them have died, some of them went into kidney failure. You know, I've seen too much. I've seen too many health problems, too many deaths. I don't want to see anymore. Because, you know, I might have beef. I don't really have beef with anybody. I don't hate anybody, but even if I disagree with people, we're all doing the same thing. We're all living this cultish lifestyle that nobody else understands. So I have love for all these people that live the same lifestyle as me, because there's not many of us, and we're looked at as weirdos, freaks, narcissists, obsessed. You know, people label us with all different types of things. So like it or not, guys, we're all one big dysfunctional iron family. So, you know, we just like a regular family, we might fight, we might talk shit about each other sometimes, we might have feuds, but in the end, like it or not, we're still a family. Yeah. But no, I would not do Tony's thing. I mean, I'll be 53 years old in a couple months. It would be a horrible, horrible idea. And I'm not, even if I could get a little bigger, is it worth it if I'm going to die? And he can't promise me I'm not going to die. He can't. Nobody can promise you that. Nobody can say, here's a cycle, it's a lot of shit, but you'll be fine. You know, nobody can tell you that. No. Mike's Man stuff. Ron, I love training too. It's nighttime in Norway. Wow. Yeah, you're 6 hours ahead, so it's like 11:45 p.m. for you. Oof. Just hit the gym 3 hours ago, and now I'm driving on my stinking gym bag to night work. Yeah, when you get those dirty gym clothes, man, they reek, right? The worst thing is when it's happened to me before. I always have like a clean shirt to change into after I train because I'm all soaked and I don't take shower. The showers, I don't want to shower at the gym because then I got to bring a towel and shampoo. I got to bring all this shit with me. I don't want to do that. I'll just go home and take a shower. But man, one time I remember it was like winter and I forgot. I didn't have another shirt to change into. I'm soaked in sweat. I had to go out in the stinky soaked shirt with my winter coat over that. And it smelled and I was like, so gross. Yeah. Nani Resulbego. Sorry if I'm murdering your name. As a beginner, ASS, your thoughts on Anavar only in a first cycle? No. I don't believe in orals as an orals only cycle. You can do it if you're really afraid of needles, but it still has to go through your liver and stuff. If you're going to do a cycle, easiest first cycle in the world would be just like 400 milligrams a test, or 400 milligrams a test and 300 milligrams a deca, something like that. You'd see great results off that. You know, I get the needle thing. I do. I used to be afraid of needles too, but you get used to it, guys. I mean, I couldn't even do my own shots for many years. I had to ask my wife to do it, and she was not happy. She was not a willing participant in my steroid use. She hated it. But eventually I learned to do it myself. I remember like there were times when I'd sit there and like, and I'd poke the butt and it would hurt, and I'd try to find a different spot. But you know, you get, like anything else, you do it enough times, you get used to it. And it's safer because it's not doing that pass through your digestive system and your kidneys and all that, and your liver. So injections, safer than pills. Forza Life, 18. Hey Ron, do you ever train with Milos Sarshev? No, I'd love to. I wish I could have had Milos train me when I was younger. My joints were healthy. Like My physical prime, when I was at my very biggest and strongest, was probably from about age, I'm going to say 32 to 42 was probably my best. Anywhere in that time, I would have loved to train with him. Those are the ages when I was training. I trained, all those times I trained with the people, like I trained with Branch, Jay one time, Dorian, Ronnie, Hida Yamagishi, Rich Gaspar. I trained with Jose many times. It was all during in those years, because that's when I was still, in my physical prime, into my early 40s. And after that, things started going downhill. I still do okay, but Elite Slayer, Ron, do you think Shawn has a shot for top 3 in the Olympia open bodybuilding if he decides to compete there? Top 3 would be a real stretch for Shawn, real stretch. He's very good. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong for 1 minute, but look at who we're talking about. I mean, you got Rami, you got Brandon Curry, Hadi Chupan, Hunter Labrada, Nick Walker, Ian Valier. You got so many, it's stacked. Shawn's no slouch. Shawn's very good. Don't get me wrong. But top 3 would be a stretch. It would be tough. I'm not saying it's impossible. I never say that, because I've seen so many things happen over the years. I'm like, well, I guess he's better than I thought he was. I've seen people pull things off that I never expected. So I don't count anybody out. I don't say he's never going to do that. He's never going to be top 5. It could happen. I just think it's unlikely, just based on who else he's up against. It's the best bodybuilders in the world. It's the toughest show in the world. It's the Olympia. All right, a few more questions. I'm going to go. Noor Ega, do you have to eat big to get big as a natural? Yeah, you still have to. So the formula remains the same whether you're on drugs or not on drugs, is to gain muscle mass, you have to have the building materials. You have to be in a caloric surplus. So let's say your resting metabolic rate is 2,000 calories a day. I'm just throwing a random even number out there. So 2,000 calories a day. Let's say with your weight training and cardio, or only weight training, let's say you're burning another 500 calories. So you need 2,500 calories a day just to stay exactly the same weight you are. You would need more than that, more than 2,500 in this case, in this fantasy scenario, to be able to make more lean muscle tissue. You need to eat more. So when they say eat big, you need to be eating more, taking in more calories than you're expending. How many more calories is debatable, because if you eat too many calories, especially as a natural, you'll start getting fat. So you need to find that. That's why it's important to track your not macros necessarily, but just your meals, your food that you're taking. There's so many apps on phones now. You can do it very easily. You just input it and it keeps track of how many calories. So if you see that you're taking in 3,000 calories a day and you're not gaining any weight, you can bump that up. You increase your portion size or whatever. Try like 3,300, see what happens then. Still not gaining? Try 3,500. Okay, now I'm gaining. After a couple of weeks, you notice you're getting fatter. Like, well, maybe I need to pull it back. So you take maybe 100 or 200 calories away until you find that really sweet spot, as we say, where you're gaining muscle, but you're not gaining fat. It takes some doing. It takes some tracking, but it can be done. Endless Gamer, Run, when you have fun before the stream, don't forget to turn the red light out. Oh, I never forget. Nathan Dash would smoke Clarita in the open. Yeah, Nathan's very good. I'm not saying he's better necessarily than Clarita, but Nathan Dash is very good. Do you mix oils in your shots and take smaller ones more frequently or big ones less often? I always mix. I'm not going to do 2 different shots. If I'm doing 1 cc of test and another cc of Deca or Tran or whatever, I'm putting in the same. I'm not going to use 2 needles and do 2 shots. I'm just going to put both cc's. So I'll draw out 1 milliliter, 1 cc from one bottle. Get the air up, pop it in the second bottle, take out the other cc, and boom, pin, put it in my butt. Not in the way you're thinking, in the glute. Let's go, champ. Okay. How would you stack Mass D? I'm glad to see Giles back. Masteron and Nanthate you're talking about. I mean, it's a hardening drug. It goes. You could take it with anything. I mean, typically you're using that as part of a cutting stack, a contest prep stack. So you're typically taking it with things like Primobolan or Winstrol, maybe Tren. Yeah. I mean, did you ever train with Rich Piana? I never even met Rich Piana. I was around him many times. I don't know. It's unfortunate because I bet we would have got along. He seemed like a cool guy and everything. I was kind of turned off by the whole I know this sounds childish, but the fact that he had so much fake crap in his shoulders and arms, whatever it was, I don't know what it was, PMAA I've heard, but it was such a fake look, and the fact that he built this empire based off that, you know, fake look, it rubbed me the wrong way. Looking back, I realized that was my problem, my issue, and I should have tried to reach out to him and at least interview him or something. But no, I never trained with him, never even met the guy. I was around him many, many times. As you know, it's a small sport. Everybody's around everybody. Red light is a therapeutic. This red light doesn't have any therapeutic effects. Which drugs are the worst for hair loss, and how do you have such great hair? I don't have great hair. You see this? It's receding up here. It's thin. It's very thin back here. But as I pointed out many times before, I have a younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me. He's never even seen a steroid in his life. He's got less hair than me. His hair is receding a little higher here, and he's got a bigger bald spot on the crown. He's never touched a steroid in his life. Which ones are the worst? I think Tren is probably the worst, I've heard. I think Deca's pretty bad. This is a question for Dr. T. I know I'm supposed to know these things off the top of my head, but a lot of times I don't. But yeah, thanks for note. I wish my hair was... If you look at my old pictures, I'm on Facebook, Ron Harris. It's a public profile. I have like in my albums, I have old pictures. And I used to have this crazy amounts of hair, like a Muppet. Like my son. My son's got super thick hair. That's how my hair used to be, like, you know, really full and thick hair, like way too much hair. I did my fast workout now. One more to go, Ron. That's Jerry. Which one of these type of training gave you feeling results? That's a whole other show. Pro hormones from High Tech Pharma. Haven't used them. Pro hormones do work a little bit like anabolic steroids. You know, that's why they've been made illegal at times. Certain ones. I have tried them in the past. Yeah. Best first cycle for a 46-year-old. Well, 46. This will be the last question, guys. So if you're asking any more, I apologize. At 46, you know, you're probably a little more cognizant of your own health and mortality. So you don't want to be blasting a ton of toxic things like Tren. I'd say you can't go wrong with like Test and Deca, Test and Primobolan. If you can do orals, I'd say something like Anavar rather than something more toxic like D-bol or Anadrol. All orals are going to affect your liver eventually, and all steroids are going to shut down your natural production anyway, regardless. But you know, you can never go wrong with Test. Test is what the body makes on its own, so it's going to be a lot less harmful compared to other steroids, unless you're doing like massive amounts of it. But first cycle at 46, I bet you do great. And I know I keep throwing this number out. 400 milligrams of Test, so like 200 milligrams twice a week for a first cycle. I know it doesn't sound like much. You'd grow very well. And throw in like 300 milligrams of Deca, Test and Deca. It's like, you know how many guys have gotten huge off Test and Deca over the past 50, 60 years? Millions and millions of guys. It's like peanut butter and jelly. If you can't get big off Test and Deca, you know, especially your first couple cycles, you probably have the worst genetics in the world. Everybody. That was my first cycle back in end of 96. And when I did more cycles in 97, it was the same thing. Test and Deca, Test and Deca. And it worked. That's when I made my best gains. My first year on gear is when I put most of the muscle on that I put on. I'd say 60% of all the muscle I put on from steroids, I probably put on the first year on steroids. And after that, it was diminishing returns. It wasn't the same. Yeah. All right, guys, that is all. I'm going to take off. Thank you so much for participating. I appreciate it. Love talking to you guys, helping out with questions when I can. I don't have all the answers, obviously. If you have detailed steroid questions, things like that, I do the show every week with Dr. T. So if you go back to the last video with Dr. Testosterone, if you leave your questions in the comment sections, that's where we get the questions for the next episode, which we record every Monday morning. So get on that. So sorry, guys, I'm not answering any more questions today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're not, hit the notification bell, like, share, do all that good stuff. Appreciate you watching. And that's it. See you guys later.